He kōna e purangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
By expressing yourself, you're going to bring more peace. In the end of the day, it's about making a better world where we are all united and we are all one thing and really much more similar to each other than different, surely.
Hi everyone, that's artist and cultural connector Pepa Torre, and I'm your host and producer of Here Now, Kadambari Raghukumar. Pepa's just finished her multimedia art installation at Morrinsville Gallery in Waikato, and I'm chatting with her today about all the several hats she's worn over the years. So welcome to the podcast.
Hola a todos, aquí estamos un miércoles más en ¿Quiénes somos? Y hoy es la despedida de nuestra primera temporada de este programa, así que he decidido traer a tres amigas, a tres personas muy especiales para mí, y no son, de hecho he elegido a tres personas que son lo que yo considero mis hermanas de aquí, las hermanas que uno elige en la vida cuando se mueve a otro país y
Pepa grew up in the south of Spain, and that's her hosting ¿Quiénes somos?, a radio show a few years ago as part of the Waikato Hispanic Latino Trust. In each episode, she'd bring Spanish-speaking guests from around the world to share their New Zealand experiences.
Bueno, quiero que os presentéis cada una, las tres vienen de España, como yo soy de España. Así que cuéntanos, Eva, de dónde vienes, porque en España es muy diferente del norte, el sur, el centro, y aquí estamos bien representadas.
Pues yo soy de Asturias, que es el norte de España, la parte más.
Waikato is a long way from her hometown, and so naturally a sizable chunk of her time here in New Zealand since the mid-90s has been spent finding and creating community. Art and language became her tools of trade.
Art is the biggest intercultural language. Well, I grew up in a town called Cádiz. Cádiz is a very special and beautiful town in the south of Spain, Andalusia. If you have a look at the Spanish map, there's a little point in the end that it's just the end, not just of Spain, but also the end of Europe.
Cádiz, considered one of the oldest cities in the West, is a confluence and melting pot of every sort.
When I look at my background and I am European, but at the same time, when I'm here as an immigrant, I'm always right away put into South American or Latin because we have so much in common. We have the language, but I actually, unfortunately, and I would love to, I have never even been to South America. At the same time, being so at the bottom of Spain, I am much, much closer to Africa than I am to any other European country. And we have a lot of African influence, and I feel really close and connected because my town, Andalusia was run by the Moorish for a very long time, and we have huge heritage.
With Pepa's latest show, 23, 24, 25, Life U-Turns, Fate, she examines those sort of themes of differences and commonalities we all share, something that's central to multicultural community and, in her words, of being from here and from there and still not being from here nor there. It's a sentiment shared by many of us who've come to New Zealand from other ends of the world.
Coming to New Zealand has been a really interesting experience because I didn't come like, I'm coming to, it was pretty much by chance. My husband is a New Zealander. There's a difference when you are in a trip or when you sort of go so far away, 20,000 kilometers away with the intention of settling down. And all of a sudden your culture somehow depends on you. When I first came to New Zealand to stay, I came in 2004, then I came back in 2007. In my first trip, I only found one person in the street that spoke Spanish in 6 months. There was no internet, so all of a sudden I felt that really strong, that feeling of all of that I've been, that I've learned, that I have in me. Is it gonna end here? And then comes having children. In Cambridge, where I live, me and the few friends I had that spoke Spanish, we tried to find someone to teach them Spanish, and there wasn't anybody. So if you didn't do it, they would lose the language and they wouldn't even be able to talk to their grandparents. That is just crazy. That's why I started teaching language, because if I didn't do it, they just wouldn't get it. Because, all of us in those days that come from mixed couples, the kids are going to attend to the easy parts,
By which she means speaking only English. So Pepa decides to start teaching Spanish and practicing art and photography alongside. That mix is evident in this show that's been at Morrinsville Gallery. It's a collection of photos she's taken over the years and invites visitors to engage with them through writing their own definitions of self. Well, digging into our many definitions of self.
I say, well, I am Spanish. That's the main box I would be put on right away. But I would say I am a former business owner. I have worked in 5 countries on 5 continents. I was born in a Catholic country. I have been bitten by a red centipede. I am from the 70s. I always go to bed late. It's like I put myself in lots and lots of different boxes, and then I invite people to see how many things did we have in common. With that activity, what I'm trying to demonstrate, not even achieve, because I know we all have lots of things in common. And it's not just where you're from or the language you speak.
And the title, let's talk about that for a second.
You see, it's really long. It's called 23, 24, 25. Life U-turns, fate. My 360 degrees as a conversation started. Poof, really long.
That's a mouthful.
It's a whole mouthful, but that this is inspired in Dali. I loved his titles. He has some titles that were 3 sentences long, and they always really caught my attention. My work brings that sensation of being a lot. There is not just a lot of photos, but a lot of concepts. In the end of all those concepts, it's you start like with all of those little blocks and things. Those conversations start is for humans to really have the opportunity and feel the need of like expressing themselves.
Since arriving in Waikato in the mid-90s, Pepa says things have definitely come a long way as far as the ease of settling into the regions goes. But breaking that mould of being seen as more than immigrants or being stuck with that eternal label of an ethnic import is still a slow and hard journey to trod.
What I find in New Zealand is that while there are lots of things that I can't find here from what I was after regarding culture, we have that opportunity of creating it. So we had the Waikato Hispano-Latino Cultural Trust that I've been really involved with for a long time. There's a lot of help out there. There's a lot of opportunity to, you just need to do the job, but there's a wish and a desire to come and hear what other people say. But at the same time, there's a lot of expectation for us. Again, while I really enjoyed doing all that, and I had my flamenco group that I created with some friends since 2016, you somehow turn, when you do that, into that Spanish person that gets put into that box of like, that's what you are, a Hispanic or Latino or a ethnic community person. But then that ethnic community person also has this other, we have skills, we have a profession, experience in lots of things of life other than dressing up in a cultural costume. It gets blurry for some people, and it's like, oh yeah, great, pat in the back for that immigrant kind of look for a festival, but then you're not always taken seriously as a professional. It's a lot of steps, and it's a lot of fighting for it, for the recognition that we deserve, because we bring a lot to New Zealand as well as what we take.
It's often a question of being reduced to just colourful costumes and exotic food.
Exactly.
What is it that you're trying to change through some of the work you've done as an artist and as even a radio host?
People that are somehow in the second row because you can't use what you've learned. With the radio program, it was also about talking about the stories of how we come here. Many of the people that are here that are like, yep, a migrant, and came with like really huge qualifications of like, I don't know, teaching physics to pilots or many other things. So I feel like the step of bringing those cultural traditions, it's more or less out there. Now there is another push that still needs a lot of work to see us as an equal part of the professional society. We need to get in touch and talk to the people and abandon that idea of like refugee, migrant as the definition of anybody.
Pepa Torre on her exploration through her art of going beyond the most convenient definitions of selves and of others. Today's Here Now episode was mixed by Daniel Hurley and my name is Kadambri Raghukumar. You can find Here Now on all your favourite podcast platforms as well as the RNZ website, where you'll also find a ton of other fantastic podcast series.